All right, good afternoon, everyone. Hope you're doing well. And those who are on, I hope you enjoyed Laura's share and preparation for Yami No Ryan, which is, I'm sure, fascinating. I'm looking forward to getting the recording and the recap. Just to continue where we left off, we're going to do Rashi this afternoon from Parshas Tavo from the third Aliyah. And it's an exciting set of Rashis, but one in particular that I always love to come back to. And it's a theme that we revisit every year as we go through all the Rashis in the Torah, starting at Yisro and leading us all the way here to Kisavo, which I think is the last in the whole cycle of the Torah reading. And that is the references to Hayom Hazeh in the Torah. It's a topic we've covered many times from different angles, but I think it's an important one to reiterate. And we'll see another couple of beautiful things in the psukim here in the third aliyah of Kisavo. So after talking a little bit about Mikra Bikurim, as we talked about, Mitzvah Bikurim and Meiser, Vidui Meiser, as we talked about yesterday. So the Torah transitions generally to our approach to mitzvos, which will lead eventually into the Tochacha, which comes later in the Parsha, which talks about reward and punishment for these various mitzvahs. So the third aliyah begins with a broad statement: Hayom hazeh Hashem Elokecha mitzavcha lasos esachukim ha'ela ve'es hamishpatim. Today, this day, Hayom Hazeh, God is commanding you to do the various statutes and ordinances, laws of the Torah. Vishamarta ve'asisa osam, you should keep them and you should do them. B'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha, with all of your heart and all of your soul. That, of course, echoes many of the previous passages, like the two passages of Kriya Shema, b'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha, and other places in the Torah where this is referenced, talking about a deep observance of the laws that God commands us. So Rashi says right away over here, Hayom Hazeh, this very day. Why is he referencing this very day? God wasn't commanding them this very day, whatever day this was, when Moshe Rabbeinu was telling this parsha to Bnei Israel on the banks of the Yarden at the end of the 40 years. God already commanded this at Har Sinai. Why is he saying Hayom Hazeh, today? So he says famously here, as he says in many places, B'chol yom iyu beinecha chadashim ki'ilu bo bayom nitztavesa alehem. Every time the Torah says Hayom Hazeh, and it's out of context, there's no reason for the Torah to say this very day. It usually comes in the context of Moshe Rabbeinu commanding us generally about mitzvos, and the Hayom Hazeh, this very day, is not to tell us that it's being commanded to us today. It's already commanded to us from before, but telling us that every day when we reflect upon and accept the commandments upon ourselves, they should be fresh in our eyes, novel to us, as if Hayom Hazeh, as if today, on this very day, we were being commanded to observe these mitzvahs for the very first time. As I said, this concept of Hayom Hazeh appears in many places. It appears in Yisro, which is the parsha of Matan Torah itself. Then it appears multiple times in Dvarim and Ekev or I actually have a sheet somewhere, I have to find it, where I marked down all the references to Hayom Hazeh in the Torah and all the places Rashi mentions this same phrase, B'chol yom iyu beinecha chadashim, ki'ilu bo bayom nitztavesa alehem. But it's an important message that we need to continue to reiterate, which is that the Torah should be fresh in our eyes and exciting. We should approach it with alacrity and with excitement as if it's today that it's being given to us. And it's especially appropriate as we introduce the broadness of observance of the Torah here in the preamble to the Tochacha, but also particularly relevant to us in the month of Elul as we think about our reacceptance of Torah and tshuva and our relationship with Hashem. We approach it with fresh eyes and new energy as if it's Hayom Hazeh, as if today it's being given. Okay, now to the end of this pasuk, we have here broad exhortation to observe the commandments, and then two specific words, Vishamarta, V'asisosam. You should keep them, guard them, and do them. So what is the repetition of these two words? They seem redundant. If we're going to keep them, obviously we're going to guard them. If we guard them, obviously we're going to keep them. What's Vishamarta ve'asisa? Rashi says, Baskol mevarchato. The real statement here is as if there's a voice coming out from the heavens telling us, Heveta bikurim hayom tishana l'shana haba'a. This is the end of the whole passage of Bikurim. Vishamarta va'asisa is like a blessing that's being given to us from the heavens, saying if you did the mitzvah today, you'll be able to repeat it in years to come. Vishamarta, if you kept it today, you guarded it today, you fulfilled the mitzvah today. Ve'asisa, in the future. You will be able to observe this mitzvah in the future. It's a similar concept to what we saw last week in Parshas Kiseitse, the idea of mitzvah goreres mitzvah. If you take the blessing upon yourself, if you grab that blessing for you when you build a new home, and when you do the mitzvah of Shiluach HaKen, then God is going to give you another opportunity. He's going to give you a home. You're going to give the home, you're going to be able to build a makkah. If you build a makkah, you're going to be able to plant a field. You plant a field, you'll be able to observe the mitzvah of shatnez. We talked about mitzvah goreres mitzvah. Every mitzvah you grab hold of and you see the blessing being given to you and take advantage of it, God will give you more and more opportunities. It's a snowball effect of mitzvahs, which we see in the Torah, and we see it again over here. Veshamarta vasisa. If you observe, if you grab hold of the blessing, if you offer gratitude, like Bikurim really is supposed to be, then vasisa, in the future, you're going to get to do this over and over. Tishana l'shana haba. You're going to continue to repeat it next year and the year after and year after that. Two beautiful messages already here in the yellow section of this pasuk at the beginning of the third aliyah. The last thing I just want to mention is the next two psukim, which we'll just review very quickly. It talks about the relationship of God and the Jewish people. Es Hashem he'amarta hayom lios l'cha l'lokim v'lalachas bidrachav lishmor chukav mitzvotav mishpatav lishmor b'kolo. God is the one that you were he'emir today, to be your God, to follow in his ways, to observe his statutes and his mitzvahs and all of his laws, and to listen to his voice. And reciprocally, V'Hashem he'emircha hayom. God was he'emir you today to be his chosen, treasured nation, just as he had spoken to you, as you observe his commandments. So this is generally talking about the renewal of the covenant, which is occurring here in Parshas Kisavo, the end of the 40 years, the renewal of the covenant between God and the Jewish people. And Moshe Rabbeinu is outlining the covenant is a two-way street. You choose God, God chooses you. So there's a beauty to the message and importance to the message in and of itself. That's critically important, beautiful psukim that describe it. You are he'emir God, God is he'emir you. That's the nature of the relationship between God and the Jewish people. But I just want to comment on the word for a second. He'emarta and he'emircha. It's sort of a strange word. So it translates here, you have declared, which of course you see the word in he'emarta as amar, to say. Es Hashem he'emarta. God, you said today will be your God, meaning you've declared to be your God. He'emarta and he'emircha. It's a declaration. But Rashi says that means something else here. He'emarta and he'emircha, lashon tiferet, kmo yisamru ko poale aven. The idea of tiferes over here, the idea of beauty and of splendor, I'm not sure exactly how it's related to the root he'emar or amar, but Rashi connects this to the idea of tiferes, of splendor. You've not only declared God to be your God, and God declares you to be his nation, but you've done it with tiferes, with beauty, with splendor. There's a golden nature to the relationship that's created over here in a two-way street. In a mutual relationship, there's tiferes, there's beauty which is created. We and God in some ways match, in other ways we're opposites. But when we come together in that relationship, there's beauty, there's tiferes which is created and hopefully continued as the relationship goes forward. Hope you all have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow, Mirza Hashem.
You too. Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you,
Be well.
Rabbi.
Have a good one, guys.
Thank you.
Be well.